Puzzle games can be tough to write. I mean, let's say we've got a locked door. That door has a keyhole. Keys go in a keyhole, don't they? Okay, so the solution is a key. But that's too easy. If you just present someone with a locked door and then put a key on the floor next to it, that's not a puzzle. That's just where you left your key after you staggered home hammered last night. Okay, so let's take the key and put it all the way over here. Well, it's still not really a puzzle, is it? All you've really done is move the answer away from the question, which means the player is now simply inconvenienced by your puzzle, but hasn't really used their brain to solve anything. You've turned them into a glorified delivery man. So I guess we have to give the key to something that requires a thought process to gain access to it. How about this dog? This dog now has the key, but you can't just get the player to ask for the key because your character doesn't speak dog. So instead you have to coax the key away from the dog by giving the dog a treat. But you can't just put the treats next to the dog because then you're stuck with a door and key situation and it's too obvious. So let's put the treats on top of this cupboard. But to get up there you need, I don't know, a step ladder. But this step ladder is behind another locked door. But this locked door isn't locked by a key, it's guarded by a cat who somehow managed to sit still for this camera. So how do we get past the cat?
You shall not pass!
Well, all of the solutions so far have been too easy. So how about if the solution to this one is that we give the cat a pair of shades, because cats are known to be cool, so the player should understand that shades plus cat equals cool.
Go for cats, it's go for cats.
Yeah, that's the solution. But then, where do we get the shades from? Okay, how about if we hide the shades behind this book? But the book is made of poison, so to get the book you have to wear gloves. But the gloves are in a shoe. And to find the gloves you have to ask a random army veteran that you find on a boat.
Over there! They're over there!
And these potatoes have probably got something to do with it as well. Maybe. Or they could be a red herring like half of these other items you picked up along the way. For those of you who've played through a large majority of puzzle games or point-and-clickaroos, you'll know exactly what this level of bullshit does for the mind. You start to second guess yourself. You start to use every item on every object in the vague hope that something, somewhere will happen so you can proceed to do the same thing again and again and again, but with pockets absolutely full of crap that seem to have no use whatsoever. None of the hints the game provides are of any use, and you start to question whether this potato is actually the key to any door at all. Take all of that to the nth degree, then throw in instant deaths that you could have no prior knowledge of, awful platforming, and slap it on a budget price game from 1986. Welcome to King's Keep. You begin King's Keep in the oubliette bottom, which is what I call your mum's arse, and it's here that you'll immediately get a feel for the game's wonky-ass platforming. Firstly, I had to check if the candle was deadly, because that's the sort of man I am. And it is, sort of. It's only deadly if you let the game describe the deadliness for too long. If you jump off the candle before it's finished saying, ouch, the heat from the candle is burning your feet, then you're good to go. Linger around, however, and get used to this percentage screen. It will happen a lot if you attempt to play through this game. Believe you me, it will happen. Back to the platforming then. It's never a good sign when a game wants you to jump in a way that defies all physics immediately, but it's quite literally the first thing you have to do. I feel like this picture frame to the right should have been the platform you needed to jump to, but they put it in the wrong place, and they just couldn't be asked to move it. So you jump out and then in to get onto the platform directly above you. Perfectly normal behaviour. By this point, however, you should have also noticed that the camera is not here to help you in the slightest, made even more obvious when you attempt to move further to the right and discover that the camera only pans when you're pushing against the side of the screen. It doesn't retain you at the centre. Just what we all wanted from a game that requires you to constantly jump around on platforms. Before we continue, as the game provides zero context in-game, the instructions are your only hope of gathering any information on what it is you're supposed to be doing. King Harold the Heartless, your father, is a cruel and tyrannical ruler. His kingdom is ruled with a grip of iron. The people are terrorized into suppression. The king is aware of where your sympathies lie, and to prevent you from seeing the results of his hellish misrule, he confines you to his keep. You must escape from the keep, or face eternal domination. All of this sounds like the end result of Pornhub fetishes rolled into one, but it also gives you no real indication of what it is you should actually be doing. You're told the controls, which gives you the basic QAOP. Number 1 picks things up, number 2 drops things, and number 5 gives you a list of commands, some of which are very specific. Back into the action, we head to the first room and... Okay, so these rooms marked with an F, those are forbidden rooms, apparently. The king will psychically know you've been in there and he'll smash your back door in. But couple this with the fact your camera doesn't really show you these rooms until you're pretty much stepping through the door, and you'll no doubt chalk up quite a few accidental deaths to these rooms. I know I did! And I was not happy about it. You'll meet a jester who wants a playing card, a crazy old man who wants a necklace, and a guard who says, "Hello, hello, hello, what's all this then? The king won't like you mooching about me, old China." And that's all the interactivity you get with characters, but at least we have 2 quests of sorts. A playing card and a necklace. So let's see what items I've found so far. Examining the items, you get basic descriptions. Note that the music page in particular is called The King's Lament, which is worth remembering for a puzzle you won't know how to complete later. In a desperate attempt at working out even one solution, I try to use everything, and, of course, the wine kills me. That'll teach me for trying to do anything. I guess the only thing to do next is continue exploring, and as we've headed all the way to the bottom of the castle, then... The only way is up! And so, as we try to return from whence we came, we hit a snag. The only way is this it? Am I doomed? This is the point where I presume 90% of people would bow out under the assumption that either the game is wrecked or you've simply come the wrong way. But as it's the only way you can go, that's certainly not the problem. So how, dear viewers, do we get back up the castle? The answer is none of the above. You have to drop a piece of paper on the floor to use as a stepping stool. That, right there, is a sheet of paper. I am being slightly facetious. You can, in fact, drop literally anything on the floor and jump on it, but the game relies on this mechanic forever throughout, and there's literally no indication that it's something you need to do. No tips, no hints, you just have to think to yourself, I'll tell you what, I'll drop that sheet of music paper on the floor vertically, and then I'll stand on it to gain height. You can probably understand why I checked my brain out the door at this point. Upstairs, we find the king, a damsel, locked doors, a cooking pot. I wonder if I'm going to need to put things in and take things out of that cooking pot at some point. If only there was a specific menu item that gave this away. And basically, a lot more of the same throughout. And while I could sit here and explain how each of these puzzles, a term I use lightly, is insanely frustrating, I won't go into every single one, but I will highlight just the kind of thing you're dealing with during the game's 30 to 60 minute runtime. Speaking to the damsel, for instance, she says, "Achoo! I've got... Achoo! Excuse me, I've got a cold!" Okay, in that case, I need to give her a tissue or medicine or something, right? Well, yes, later on in the game, you give her a handkerchief and she gives you some other crap that you need. But before that, you need to give her a silver knife. When you speak to the king, all he does is berate you. There's no clues about what you should do with him outside the sheet of music I mentioned earlier. But you have to automatically understand that by simply using the lyre, you're going to play the music that was written on the music sheet. And the king gives you a bottle to get rid of you? A bottle? A bottle of Toad's eyes? A bottle of fucking Toad's eyes? What are you talking about? Before this, though, again, without any sort of hint, you can give him a roast turkey. In return, you get a coin, which you can give to a guard who expressed literally no desire for money. In here, you'll meet a witch who gives you some direction on how to make a wand that opens a door, for some reason. She doesn't actually tell you what she wants, though, which is a wash? She wants a wash? She needs a wash. You have to give her a bucket of water, some soap, and a towel. She is surprisingly not insulted by you handing her this sanitary equipment unprompted. Oh, but get this! The bucket of water you give her, that is a special case all in itself. You see this room? This is the washroom. There's a bucket right there. You can't pick that bucket up. That bucket does nothing. What you need is a stone. Chipped into the stone is a picture of what looks like a round bowl, an addition sign, and a bucket of some sort. What does that mean, you may wonder? You need to put the stone in the cooking pot. Then, when you go to take it out of the cooking pot, it's turned into a bucket. Am I being clear on what my issues are here? To fill the bucket up, you have to drop the bucket on the floor next to the other bucket that you couldn't pick up, and it'll just randomly fill up with water. For some reason. Water that you didn't know you needed because no one told you the witch needed to have a wash. You just had to assume she was a smelly bitch. The crazy old man from earlier, as well as the jester, neither of their solutions turn up until the mid-game at best. The old man's necklace was a bone you find in a prison in which you need to drop an item to climb out of. Not a great idea to build a prison which you can escape from using a piece of fucking paper. Behind the old man is the playing card. You started this at... Fuck's sake, are you kidding me? Do I really have to play through this piece of shit again thanks to a fucking bug? God damn it! Behind the old man is the playing card. Your adventure started off with 2 clues as to what to do, and you ended up with the solution to one of those clues just sat directly behind the other one. No doubt at this point you'll be wondering why on earth you're still continuing to put up with this shit. You eventually cast a sleep spell that opens up the forbidden rooms to the castle. None of these forbidden rooms are any different to the normal rooms. I've no idea why the king locked these places off. I was starting to assume it's where he kept his incest porn, but it's actually just a collection of random rooms that hold more items you have to guess the purpose of. This shield, for example, you need to use that shield to equip it. You don't know why you need to do that unless you die to a booby-trapped chest beforehand. Everyone loves a solution that requires you to die in the game first, right? These ham-fisted attempts to prolong the adventure by making you start all over again are just another boring solution thrown into the cooking pot of garbage that is King's Keep. It was unsurprising to see that even the budget price of $1.99 didn't hold Crash Magazine from frothing bile at the game, where it garnered 42%, and the review featured such phrases as, "This is the sort of thing that gives budget a bad name," and "Hire a video, buy a paperback, just about anything, just don't buy this." It wasn't worth £2 then, and it's certainly not worth £2 now. And so as the screen does what all budget garbage from 1986 does when you complete it, I sit and look at the hour I've just spent trying to work my way through this thing and question whether or not I can refund my time back. The only enjoyment I got during this entire experience was when I made the prince dance the night away by accident. And that's King's Keep, a game that asks you to find the key to the door, send you on a wild goose chase for an hour, and then you find out that behind the door there was nothing but a massive pile of shit.